Welcome to The Deepest Cut, a podcast about the movement from painful experiences to meaningful music. I'm your host, Matt Connor. For nearly 25 years now, Ben McDonald's been writing, recording, releasing, and performing songs about hope. For so many of those years, however, in fact, for nearly half that time, he and his wife Carie were experiencing the very absence of it as they tried again and again and again, unsuccessfully, to have children. There were fertility treatments that didn't work, years of using their nursery to be for other purposes. People who said the wrong things, hurtful things, even as they were trying to be helpful. While singing or playing songs about the need to hold on with his band Sidewalk Prophets, Ben says he found it difficult to do the same in the face of so much confusion and sorrow. Now these days, the McDonald family is a family of 3, with a 2-year-old son named Theodore having just joined them in 2022. But the shadows that loomed over so many years are still very much informing the present, albeit in a different way. One that Ben says makes him appreciate the gift of parenthood, having longed for it like they did. On this episode of The Deepest Cut, I sat down with Ben, a founding member of Sidewalk Prophets, a band with 5 #1 singles and a win for Best New Artist at the Dove Awards, to hear more about their song called I Believe It Now. It's a song born in the darker moments of waiting, and yet, like so many other hits in the band's catalog, the song has been used to provide light to others mired in their own dark spaces. Ben and I dove into the deep end of the pool for this conversation, and we think you'll appreciate the perspective it yields for all of us, no matter our circumstances. Here's Ben McDonald from Sidewalk Prophets, here on The Deepest Cut. Hello, with me today is Ben McDonald, Sidewalk Prophets founding member of the Dove Award-winning band. Welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
Well, thank you for having me. I'm doing well, and it's good to see you. We have a long history of I consider you like a bestie if we were in the same place for enough time.
I agree. You're a good guy. Everyone else I have on the show here is not. They're not good guys or girls. But this is the one episode where there's a good guy.
Oh,
Yeah, Ben, it's great to chat. I mean, we've been chatting for a long time already, even before officially hitting record here. But welcome to The Deepest Cut. You know, obviously, we talk about the most painful or the most difficult song you've ever written. You've chosen one. We'll get to hear it here in a few minutes. But before we get into the context of this song, I'd love to actually, are you a sad song guy, by the way? Would you say that, your artistic, your taste, your musical taste, do you, because I am, I'm all melancholy. And are you that way too?
oh, absolutely. I think just I want there to be I want emotion to be evoked. So and so I just want that button to be pushed. So absolutely love sad songs. So
Yeah. My wife, by the way, can't relate. She's like, why would you want to feel sad? And I'm like, wait, why would you just want to not feel? I mean, I can't relate at all. I'm like, well, how do you not want to feel all the things? And she's like, that just sounds miserable.
well, that's actually I think about that quite often about sad songs because a lot of like sad songs. I think about why would you listen to like a great sad song you listen to over and over again? And so kind of like what your wife is saying is kind of like sometimes I don't understand it, but then it's so good and so well crafted and so poignant that you just can't help but have that emotion, over and over and over. So
I say all this as I'm restarting Carie and Lowell by Sufjan or something for the 20th time.
yeah.
Hey, so take me into, not just for this song, but part of maybe some of the, not stress, but maybe the tension is this idea of, we were even talking about this a little bit before we officially hit record. When you're processing the experience, and maybe we could talk about it through the lens of this song, but how sad do you allow yourself to get as a songwriter? Like we were just talking about, you like sad songs, right? Like philosophically for you as a songwriter, how sad do you let the song get? Or is there no limit and really the limit is what you allow people to hear?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So I think and as far as the artistry of it, you have to go where it will take you. If that and then that's kind of a weird answer, and maybe I can think of a better way to say it. But I I, I think you dig in until you feel it. And that may be digging some songs that may be digging deeper, and other songs not so much. But it's like you have to feel it, and you have to be able to relate to it. And so I think that is for a lot of the songs like this, songs that have more, maybe not necessarily sad, but sometimes sad, and then also more deeper meanings that you have to you have to sit in it. You have to marinate in what that feels like to be able to communicate it well.
Yeah, yeah. And just to be clear, for the sake of the podcast, we're not just talking about sad. We're talking about difficult or pain. I mean, there are a few emotions on this part of the spectrum here. Today, we're the song we're talking about for Sidewalk is "I Believe It Now," right?
Yes.
And I just want to read out loud a few of these lyrics because I'm hoping you could take us inside, if you're comfortable with it, take us inside the story behind it. But some of these lines saying like, stuck on the tracks and the train is bearing down, or screaming from the top of my lungs, who will save me, right? A little bit later, you say, I've got the devil on, I've got the devil on my shoulder and he's leaving me for dead, right? Like those are pretty like drastic images of just feeling, obviously, places of desperation, isolation, at wit's end. Can you tell us what's happening in your life that like conjures those images and where that comes from?
Yeah. So if you were to ask me when I was writing these lines, I don't think I knew exactly what I was going through. I do know now a lot. I have a lot better idea now that time has passed. But there was such a heaviness in life. And I'm actually sitting. I'm in my studio right now, and this is where I actually wrote those lines. And I remember because I was playing piano and I was kind of building a track, and I was writing out these lyrics, and my wife at one point, my wife said, I can't remember if she yelled up to me or maybe we were getting ready for bed at night. She said, "Hey, you were singing these lyrics, and it was really depressing."
Was she worried about you? Like, was she like, do I need to check on your mental health?
Yeah, well, she's like, that's really sad, or yeah, I think so. And she's like, that's where I was in my life at that point. And so it was just, my story, and part of the feel behind this song is, my wife and I had 12 years of infertility, and we did IVF. We went through periods of being told we weren't going to be able to have a kid, to thinking we might have, and then back to we're not going to be able to have a kid, to going through IVF unsuccessfully, to having going to healthcare professionals that were not very professional, and all the way through the spectrum. And then you're sitting up here in the middle of all this. The hope and desire of our heart is, God, we just want a kid so bad. We just want a baby so bad. And I think the culmination of all of those feelings of like wanting something so bad and not being able to get grasp it or get a taste of it, then the narrative in your head kind of starts to turn, and it kind of can take you to these places that are a little bit more dark and a little bit more difficult. And so that's where those, I think you referenced like the stuck on the tracks, train bearing down, screaming for my lungs, who will save me now. And it's just, it really is a lament. It is where will my help come from in these moments where you feel helpless. And that point, there was just so much grieving, and it's just a weird thing where hope and grief are kind of in the same room, and it's just kind of they're like kind of tangoing together in a weird way, and it was just such a low spot, and that's what came out. I could like that's not I wasn't trying to do anything other than communicate what was in my heart, and so I didn't sit down to say let me write this sad song or this lament. It's I have to do this because it's what's in me,
Was that because it doesn't sound like you sat down to write like, I'm going to process the fact that we haven't been able to have a child yet. Let me write that song.
No.
It just sounds like it was almost like, I feel a heaviness. Let me just let the heaviness speak. Is that what it was?
Yeah, yes, and I don't think you think of it, so consciously. I think you're right. It's not. I wasn't thinking about anything other than life is really hard right now, and I'm just sitting up in my studio, and and then all of a sudden, I'm playing the piano, and then all of a sudden the words are coming out therapeutically for me to process the hurt and pain and the struggle of where we were in our lives at that point.
How long ago was this song, by the way?
So I would guess I would say probably 2019. So prior to COVID, prior to pandemic,
prior to having a baby.
Yeah. Yes.
How did that feel writing? Because even what we're quoting is a verse that leads to more hopeful refrains later in the song, but that came before the baby. So, which, by the way, we should clarify, you have a son now, right?
Yeah, I do. Yep, I do. Yep, he's a 2-year-old, and his name is Theodore, and he's so much fun.
Take me back to that. Like, did that feel weird to try to find a hopeful refrain in the midst of that, or no?
Dude, you just asked the best question, because, and I got to give credit to, so the song is co-written. So Dave Fry, who has been my longtime partner in crime, and we've been doing this for almost 25 years. Holy cow, almost 25 years now. And then Ellie Holcomb, who is she is one of the best writers of all time. That was the first time we ever wrote with Ellie. I went into this songwriting session and I pushed back pretty hard because I didn't want to find resolve for where I was at the time. I didn't want to find a resolve in the song. I just wanted to lament. And and of course Ellie and Dave were in a different space in their lives, and I was just like, I remember asking specifically, saying, guys, do we have to resolve this? And that was because it was hard for me at that point to say, that's not where I'm at a point of resolution right now. I'm at a point of like really just contemplating life, and as far as my faith goes and as far as life goes, I was at this point where I was just like, and you hear it in the song, it's in the lyrics of the song, but it's like, raising my fist up to the sky, and because it's like, God, where are you in all of this? And that's I wanted to convey that. And to answer your question, it was very hard, and we ended up I think the song landed in a space that, now having a child and being on the other side of that experience, I'm very thankful for where the song ended up, and that I had those two in the room, because I think it embodies a more complete experience.
At the time, did you lose the battle? And were you mad if you did lose the battle?
So the battle the battle for direction.
Yeah, like in that room, you said, I'm fighting for a lack of resolve, right? Which I think maybe most of us, at least the two of us here, would say that there is a problem, maybe within circles of Christian culture, where you're not allowed to just lament, that it has to have a bow tied, etc. And we talk about that a lot on this kind of podcast. But in that room, like, were you like, did you lose that battle?
I think it ended up in the space that it was supposed to end up. But I do think, because I'm pretty stubborn, like when it comes to like when I know what I want and what I feel is best, I don't give up usually ever. You know, and but this is like we taught. I mean, in the writers' room, the one thing I appreciate about co-writing is the different perspective, and so we talked about a lot about that. I think there was a compromise, but I wouldn't call it losing in the case of this song. I would just say that my perspective was changed. So now, if left to my own devices, and there, you know, the song would be probably completely different, you know, because but I say it ends up in a space that I think it needed to, you know, where this song should have ended up. I think it ended up what I'm very thankful and proud. And honestly, the feedback we get on the song and from people, like, it achieved what you would hope a song would achieve, because people say, because those first couple verses are so lamentful, people can put themselves in this, in where they're at in their life, whether it's, you know, it's for somebody else, it's not infertility, but it's their job, their sickness, their kids, their family life, or whatever, and they are able to put themselves in that. They're able to see that and feel that. So I think it's a mission accomplished as far as that goes, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Do you remember, and maybe this isn't true at all, but was there a time where your relationship with the song changed because Theodore had been born? Like, do you remember like playing this song for the first time on the other side of like, hey, actually now I understand the refrain. Now the song does feel complete. Or was there not like such a moment?
Well, I don't know that it's not no kind of audible God moment, but definitely a, you know, you, and at least in my experience, there's been so many times everything is like a slow build into like right this, like it's a infertility. If it lasted a week, it wouldn't be so bad, but then it's another week, and then it's another week, and then it's a year, and then it's another year, and then it's, yeah. And so in the same way, it can get, you're digging into that trench. It's a slow, to the place where you're out of that trench is a slow thing as well. So so every day I'm realizing now, it's not like just one moment, but it's kind of a slow. And I think about this quite often. I think about Theodore, our boy, is a miracle, like a living, breathing miracle. And I think about all the 12 years of the ups and the downs, the tears of wanting something so badly. And then there'll be times now that he's two, the terrible twos, um, where I'm yelling at him, and I'll find myself pausing, and I'll go, I'm yelling at a miracle.
Wow.
And because you forget that, I remember sitting on the couch downstairs and getting the news when we found out that we were pregnant. It was, my wife was a teacher at a school, I was at home, and we had this agreement because the doctor was going to uh, call to tell her the results of our if we were pregnant or not. And the it we were, our agreement was that we would find out together. So Carie was at work, and the doctor called twice, and she texted me and said, "Hey, the doctor called twice. I think it might be something important." She came home, and we sat on the couch, and and I still have the voice mail on my phone, but she played it, and it's Doctor, and congratulations, you're pregnant. And then I just started. Carie is uh, ecstatic because I think all that she ever wanted was, she knew how much I wanted to be a dad, and so she's like, "You're going to be a dad," and she's so excited. And then I'm like, I'm crying talking about it now, but I was just bawling because this it's just this moment you don't think will ever happen, and when it does happen, it's just, yeah, it's pretty surreal feeling after all those years, and all that saying that the miracle, it's quick. it's funny how quickly you can forget about the miracle when you're in the throes of everyday life. Like I'm yelling at my kid, and those things happen. I'm like, I'm yelling at a miracle. I'm disciplining a miracle. I'm feeding a miracle, and it's a special thing.
Hey, let me ask this, and I hope this comes across okay, and we can kind of maybe finish here and actually get to the song. But I in my own life, my dad left when I was 2. I was the only child, and then never really want we were the opposite. Didn't want a kid and had a surprise kid, and then I met my fourth stepmom when I was 10. I mean, it was like so many, just a rotating cast or whatever. And I just didn't know how to be a dad, didn't want to be a dad, didn't know how to be a dad, that kind of thing. And then we had a kid. And then I remember one time where we were living in Nashville at the time, actually, and my mom came to visit, and she just says, like, kind of as an aside, like an anecdote. She said, "Oh, by the way, today Elliot, my son, is exactly the age that you were when your dad left." And she just meant it, like we were just walking around Leaper's Fork, just walking around outside, and she drops this like anchor, like she said something like, "Hey, they have nice strawberry jelly in there," like just something so simple. And I like lose it. And then my mom is like, "Whoa, wait, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Like, what happened? I just thought you'd find that interesting." And then I realized at that moment that and this then leads to a question, I promise. Um, I had a weird relation. I At that time I realized I have a complex relationship with the deficit. In other words, I'm not thankful for the deficit of not having a father presence. And yet I kind of am. Like in other words, it sheds a different perspective or gratitude on being a father, having not had a father. And so then when my mom says that, my first thought is every day hereafter is a day that I didn't have, like with my own dad. And so I wonder for you, your own, like, do you feel that complex relationship with the deficit of course, I would never want to go through 12 years of not having a kid. Maybe you'd want to have several more kids. Maybe you'd want to, your own son could be 12 years older if you'd had him at the start of this period, like you were defining. Yet also, I'm sure that deficit marks your perspective of being a dad. And yeah, I don't know. Do you feel like when I say that, does that sound congruent with your
Yeah,
own?
and I think your story, that's a whole, and I'm sure you've shared more of your story, but I think that is right. You're saying deficit from the, like, that hurt and pain that you had not having a father around at the same time, while being probably one of the hardest things to in your life. The fact that you had that experience has equipped you for being everything that you everything you missed out on.
Yes. Yes. The deficit informs the present. And I'm thankful for that in those ways.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it. I think I guess I can't say everybody. I can only speak for myself, but we're so cognizant of our time because we wanted this for so long that every single thing we do is magnified by 1,000. So every, like, this is probably an overshare, but I think it helps drive this point home. Theodore still sleeps in bed with us. He's 2. He'll probably be sleeping in bed with us until, because we won't have this again. You know what I'm saying? We don't have 4 kids. We don't have 5 kids. Carie and I talked about this because I'm like, I'm never going to get any sleep with this kid rolling around, headbutting me. But I think you figured out what it is, because I think Carie and I have a difference of opinion on this. But it's like, this might be the only shot that we have. And I'm going to take all the hugs. I'm going to take all the memories. I'm going to take all the kisses, all the laughs, all the wiping of tears, and I'm going to embrace all of that. And so, and then it just makes it all the more sweeter, all the pain and all the everything that the 12 years of heartache and ups and downs and never feeling like it's going to happen, and then finally having it happen. have really informed we're able to see the other side of that, and like I said, it magnifies it so much more. And I'm just so grateful and thankful that we ended up in the space, because not everybody ends up with this. And to anybody listening, I would just say it's hard. You're seen, you're loved, and it just don't give up. And I think that's the most important thing, regardless of the outcome. Just keep hoping, because God is going to teach you something, whether it's what you want or what not what you want. God is going to teach you something.
Well, this seems like a great place. We'd love to have you. Why don't you tell us what we're gonna listen to, and anything you want to share about it?
Yeah. Hey, this is Ben McDonald, founding member of band Sidewalk Prophets. This is a song that I started writing when I was at the lowest of my lows, and it ended up being a song that really has embodied so much of my life experience, and I hope it means something to you. This is Sidewalk Prophets song called I Believe It Now.
I couldn't see it then, but I believe it now. Just a searching soul, tired of reaching out. Stuck on the tracks, train bearing down. Screaming from my lungs, who will save me now? As the reruns of the regrets, they replay inside my head. Got the devil on my shoulder and he's leaving me for dead. Whispers and lies have brought me here, flooding my veins with doubt and fear. Oh, I could not see it then. Oh, I could not see. Oh my God, I remember when I cried, shook my fists up at the sky. I wondered why you felt so far from me. Oh God, it was in my deepest pain that I heard you call my name. I heard you say that you were right there with me. I couldn't see it then, but I believe it now. Trying to hold my head up when the ground fell out. I felt all alone, even in a crowd, like a sinking stone, dragging my heart down. And the weight of the sorrows I carried on my chest, it kept pulling me under, and I couldn't catch my breath. Not how I thought my life would go. Didn't know my heart could sink this low. No, I could not see it then. No, I could not see it. Oh my God, I remember when I cried, shook my fists up at the sky. I wondered why you felt so far from me. Oh God, it was in my deepest pain that I heard you call my name. I heard you say that you were right there with me. Love was standing there, holding me, but I couldn't see that love was always there. He carried me, and now I believe. Oh my God, I know you heard me when I cried, 'cause you were right there by my side. I realized that you have never left me. Oh God, it was in my deepest pain that I heard you call my name. I heard you say that you were right there with me. I couldn't see it then, but now I believe. I couldn't see it then, but now I believe. But now I believe. Now I believe.
You've been listening to The Deepest Cut, part of the Rabbit Room Podcast Network. Audio production and theme music by Isaac Vining. Logo and identity work by Meg Cook. The Deepest Cut was created and hosted by me, Matt Connor. Thank you so much for listening.